Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Queen's News update of the 2020s in the year 2020 and in the new decade. So I want to apologize about not doing an update last week because the Queen's bus redesign really got the best of me, and I just wasn't up to doing an update, I guess. Maybe it's just because it was before New Year's and I just really wanted to have less agita, I guess. But I did make up for the content this week. I did. So if anybody was asking, well, there you go. So we're going to be reading 27 articles from QNS.com. We got a lot to read this week from QNS.com. So we're going to get into a lot of these articles: crime, quality of life, infrastructure. And we got some news from the 111 precinct here in Queens, which I actually care about that because remember, 111's my old childhood area of Auburndale, so that's why it's important. I wanted to read that. Now, let's lead off with digital editions. I should have reorganized this earlier. I do apologize. So let's go to our digital editions. For the Queen's Courier for the Northeast edition, we have Marching Against Hate, New York City rallies in wake of anti-Semitic attacks. That's from the Northeastern edition. For the Forest Hills Western section of Queens, we have an epidemic regarding people getting hit and run by cars. We had an unfortunate incident in the LaFranc City area a couple days ago, which I'm going to get to that. I want to be fair to everybody here. So I figured since this is the most important thing that we need to get into. See, if we didn't have the anti-Semitism, that's what I would have let off with. But since the anti-Semitism has gotten out of hand lately, bad enough that it was happening in Brooklyn right before Christmas, and somebody Jewish was attacked by my favorite Wendy's in Manhattan. This happened during Hanukkah. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, 5 Hasidic Jews were stabbed on a Hanukkah celebration at a rabbi's home in Muncie. And I want to show you something very quickly. We'll go on YouTube because I wanted to show you something important. If I can find it. State of the State 2020. I'm trying to find it. We'll pause this for a second. Here we go. That way I don't get claimed for copyright. See that, folks? That is the rabbi. He had the home up there in Muncie. Somebody just went into his home during Hanukkah and just attacked people. This maniac gets charged with federal hate crimes. Okay? Federal hate crimes. Keep that in mind. You can't make this stuff up. And I will mention, I have cousins who live in Rockland. And when this happened on Saturday night, the 28th, about 2 weeks ago, I was coming home finishing up shopping before the last night of Hanukkah. And I was afraid that something happened. I mean, thankfully they don't live anywhere near Muncie, but still. You know, that's still something scary to think about, you know? And that's what's also been on my mind lately. And here's what makes things completely worse. We had an anti-Semitic attack here in Queens. So that's what we're leading off with this week. That's what we're titling this video. Queens rallies to stop anti-Semitism. We all have to do our part, folks. And that's where I'm going to bring up my Congresswoman Grace Ming in the next article. So what happened in Far Rockaway, you may be asking yourself. Let's talk about it. This happened right before the New Year, right during Hanukkah. Why aren't I am surprised? So we didn't even find out about this news until last week, which makes this a joke. Okay, here we go. Cops need the help finding a man connected to yet another anti-Semitic attack incident in the city. Police released video footage back on Friday, January 3rd, of the suspect connected to the bias crime, which occurred at 9:40 a.m. back on Tuesday, December 24th, near the Talmud Torah Sikha Yitzhak Yeshiva at 15-13 Central Avenue. According to law enforcement sources, the perpetrator attempted to enter the school but was denied entry by staff. After being turned away, he came across a 44-year-old female driver sitting in a car parked outside of the yeshiva. Police said the bigoted hurled anti-Semitic slurs at the woman, then spat at her through an open passenger side window at the scene. The incident was reported to the 101 precinct. The woman was not injured. Here's a quick video of the suspect. You can play it. I mean, to think that this happened right during Hanukkah. Anyone with information regarding his whereabouts can call Crime Stoppers, 1-800-577-TIPS. I want to mention something that happened in Manhattan a couple days ago. If I can find it. Trying to see if I can find it. Maybe I can't. Now, I can't find it at the moment. But there was an article I saw a couple days ago where there was another incident. And I can find it on my Facebook if I can get the web address. But there was another incident I saw on Channel 4 a couple days ago. And we definitely had confirmed our first anti-Semitic attack of 2020. Because again, this incident took place on December 24th. But this definitely took place before. Yeah, here we go. J-Post. Jewish man threatened on New York City. Jewish man threatened. Let's see if we can pull it up. Yeah, here we go. This is the article. Might as well read it. So I might as well bring this up because this is important. So, here's what happened. A Jewish man in New York said that he was insulted and then threatened by a woman on the subway back on Sunday, January 5th after she spotted his kippah. Jonathan Gray revealed the episode on social media, stating he also reported it to the police. The lady started yelling and cursing, and including "bleep all you Jews," tried to film quickly, and she threatened to beat me up, Gray wrote on Twitter, posting a video of a young woman yelling at him. So I'm not going to play the video because there's some vulgarities into it. But you know what I'm ashamed of? The media. It seems Channel 4 was the only source that covered this. The only reason why I had Channel 4 on was because I was flipping through the 11 o'clock broadcast on Monday. So there you go. And I can confirm with Chief of Transit Edward De La Torre that they have confirmed that this is the first hate crime of 2020. As of now. But this could all change. So, still. I just don't get it. Why do we have this? I'm just baffled. I'm just really baffled what's going on here. So now, how do we propose to rally together and say enough is enough? Well, there was a rally in Brooklyn last weekend. And my congresswoman, who represents Fresh Meadows, Grace Ming, actually took place in the march. And there's a reason why she had to do it, folks. Remember, and I'll say this, in my area, we have Asians and we have Jews. We have two Jewish centers, Hillcrest on Union Turnpike and Fresh Meadows on Horace Harding. So, of course, the demographics matter in my area. Grace Ming, of course, has to satisfy the demographics. This makes complete sense. Here we go. So that's her at the march in Brooklyn. And by the way, she's up for re-election this year. And I don't even know if there's any Republicans running against her. She's a Democrat. But anyhow, so she was in the No Hate, No Fear Solidarity March in New York City, standing with the Jewish community against anti-Semitism and hate. She joined over 25,000 participants. The event began in Lower Manhattan with participants marching over the Brooklyn Bridge to Camden Plaza in Brooklyn. Congressman Ming said, "Today and every day in solidarity with the Jewish community in combating the scourge of anti-Semitism and hate, the spate of anti-Semitism and hate crimes that our Jewish communities have faced and endured over the last years have been threatening the foundation of our city, which thrives on religious freedom. We must all stand up and be united in denouncing this unexpected spike in anti-Semitic attacks and make clear that these cowardly acts will never ever be tolerated. But we need more than words and commendations," she said. Alright. She wants to also add more security to temples. I said, I'm not going to go into any more of this, but we have to rally together. We have to rally together. That's the point. Alright? Enough is enough. I don't want to hear about any more anti-Semitic incidents happening for the rest of the year. I hopefully do not want to report on it. I'm going to say this. If you say anything derogatory against anybody Jewish, you are going to face the consequences. Huge consequences. Just like the guy in Muncie. He's facing federal hate. I hear a plane coming over, that's why I got distracted. Federal hate crime charges. Alright? And trust me. Trust me when I say this. I told Ed De La Torre and Christine Bespendic right before Hanukkah, make sure that you keep an eye on this. And trust me, Ed did the right thing when that incident happened on Sunday. You know what's scary when I think about all of this? I hope that, and I know this is an odd suggestion to be saying, but I hope that Jewish people don't really take this seriously, like in a way where they're not going to wear their yarmulkes in public anymore, or wear the dreadlocks that the Hasidics wear. Because back in the 70s, when the son of Sam was killing people, the brunettes had to dye their hair blonde. I hope that doesn't happen, because trust me, God forbid, I do not want to see that happen. Alright? I can respect the customs of the Hasidics. It's part of their culture. I appreciate their culture. Even though I'm Reformed. So is my family. I hope it doesn't have to end up like that. I'm praying to God it doesn't happen like that, because if it does, then, again, this is just like the son of Sam in the 70s, when women had to dye their hair blonde. My dad even told me that. My dad couldn't even recognize the brunettes walking in the city when son of Sam was killing people. Alright, let's move on before we really get out of hand. Talking about identity changes. Sad news, we have our second pedestrian death in Queens of the year. I want to mention, I think if I can find it somewhere, hang on. Flushing pedestrian death. If I can find it. So I definitely know this is the second one. I don't see it. Why did it say flashing? That's a fail. Yeah, here we go. The Chronicle has an article. Yeah, so let's talk about the first incident. The first pedestrian fatality in the city, let alone the borough of Queens, took place on January 1st. Oki J. Kang, 74, was crossing the northern boulevard. Okay, you don't add the in a sentence. Seriously, this is a bad article. But anyhow, was crossing Northern Boulevard mid-block in front of her apartment building near Parsons Boulevard in Flushing where she was struck. She was struck by a 2015 Jeep Cherokee traveling... Let me zoom in so you all can see this. There we go. Struck by a 2015 Jeep Cherokee traveling westbound Northern Boulevard, EMS responded and transported the victim to New York Presbyterian Queens Hospital where she was pronounced dead. So... says the driver was a 43-year-old male. He remained at the scene. And NYPD Collision Investigation Squad is investigating. So that was our first reported incident. Now we're going to go to our second reported incident of the year. So this happened back on Tuesday, January 7th. Oh, I also want to get to one more story. I want to load it up ASAP. I knew I had one more story from the Citizen app. Do apologize. We'll get to our first story first, because we had another accident today, this time involving the police. So let's just stick to the Tuesday incident. Alright, so the driver of a New York City sanitation truck fatally struck a 10-year-old boy in Corona on Tuesday, according to authorities. A 40-year-old woman was also hit and remains in critical condition. The driver of the city-owned truck struck the pair while making a right turn at the intersection of 57th Avenue and 97th Street around 7 a.m., according to police. Police could not confirm if the driver was turning with or against the traffic signal. After getting the call, NYPD and EMS personnel arrived at the scene to find the woman and the boy lying in the roadway with injuries to their bodies. So, unfortunately, I'm just trying to confirm it. Now, this is odd. I thought they confirmed the boy was dead. Because that's what Channel 7 confirmed on Tuesday. Because I remember they did a story on Tuesday. And I don't know. So I'm thinking maybe this article will give us more clarity. One thing else is here. Let's see. Maybe we can find a different source. Yeah. Daily News confirmed it. Thank God for the Daily News, I guess. Just want to see. Yeah, so he was pronounced dead. Okay. So unfortunately, it seems like we do have a picture of the mom and the kid who were ran over. According to the Daily News, the mom's name was Minya Panti, and her son was Sintran. So it says, Sindran died, let me highlight this part. Sindran died from his injuries at Elmhurst Hospital. Okay. Because I'm thinking, I knew Channel 7 confirmed the boy was dead. WABC confirmed that. Alright, but at least we got some clarity. So now I'm going to give my 2 cents into this. So we'll just do the proper thing. So, again, my suggestion to people is, if you notice that pedestrians are in danger, I would suggest to do this. Time the traffic lights. Alright, if you have a smartphone and you have a stopwatch app, stand near the traffic light and time how long the traffic light stays green. Because I think the issue is the traffic lights. Alright? The issue is, in New York City, and I know this for a fact, each traffic light, on average, and I've timed this, is 45 seconds. Today, I timed the traffic light at 188th Street and 73rd Avenue in Fresh Meadows. The traffic light only stays green for 20 to 25 seconds. That's not long enough. Maybe at this particular intersection, we're looking at a situation where the city just, again, doesn't care about syncing up traffic lights. My dad has called me crazy to think that the traffic lights are even out of sync. But you know who's vouched for me on that? Out of all people, Pine Power LI. Yep. He's not paranoid about this either. He told me last year when he took the Q27 bus, a lot of the traffic lights by Holly Avenue, somewhere Holly, I think it was, Casino Boulevard, the traffic lights are out of sync. So, what I would suggest to do is, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. And just contact the DOT. Contact them online. Write them letters. 'Cause I'm even writing a letter next week. I'm dead serious. Because I called 311 about it. You can even call 311. But 311, they'll tell you this. You have to wait 2 or 3 months for an evaluation. Well, I'm telling you right now, if I get an inaccurate response from the DOT, I'm getting the media involved at that intersection. Somebody's going to get killed there one day. Trust me, I'm not being paranoid. If you go on 73rd Avenue every day, from where Jewel Avenue is, where it ends, you make the right on Utopia, and then you make the left onto 73rd Avenue. Haven't you drivers realized one thing, that you are supposed to have a green light for at least a minute and 30 seconds? At least a minute and 30 seconds. Just openly am saying that. I think the city should look into making every traffic light either staying green for 1 minute and 30 seconds or 2 minutes. Because you know where that works out very well? Nassau County. In Nassau County, each traffic light, most of them stay green for 1 minute and 30 seconds or 2 minutes. Most of them, not all of them. Because Matt Camper has told me that there's a traffic light somewhere in East Meadow that has an issue. And I hope that, I hope somebody gets involved in that eventually. But this is New York City we're talking about. So, trust me, I'm dead serious. I'm seriously thinking of getting 7 on Your Side to look into this traffic light issue. So I have emails. I need Queens to look into this, because I forget the woman's name right now in Queens. Yeah, her name is Nicole Garcia. That's her name. So I got her name. She should be getting involved. Maybe Polly Trappenberg. Alright, let's move on. Right, let's get to the accident that happened in Flushing today. So I'm recording on Thursday. I just want to find it. Here we go. So we're going to read a Citizen App report from earlier today. And I found this out at Long Island Jewish because, believe it or not, the first source of information was the 107 precinct. Thank you to Deputy Inspector Scott Henry. Here we go. So earlier this afternoon at 12:35 p.m., 107 Precinct sent out the following tweet. Due to police activity, please avoid the intersection of 150th Street and 72nd Road. We will advise when the intersection reopens. Now, I looked this up, and this is an area where it has low-income housing. That's the projects in Flushing. So let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so we have a couple of videos, it looks like, so they blocked off that area pretty good. Well, let's see what else we got, because I got it on mute. See if we can get this video to load. Here we go. We do have a video. We can fast forward a little bit. Because we definitely have confirmation from somewhere, I forget where it was, that it was officers from the 107 involved. Okay, here we go. Okay. Police report 2 people were trapped inside of the vehicle. Okay. Yeah, 2 officers were trapped in the vehicle. I do apologize, folks. I'm just trying to get more information. Okay, so firefighters have confirmed that 2 trapped officers inside the vehicle were sustaining with serious injuries. Police clarified 2 officers and 1 civilian were injured in the crash. Okay, the 2 officers sustained serious injuries and the civilian sustained minor injuries. Both officers were taken to Jamaica Hospital. And the good thing is, it sounds like preliminary reports from the NYPD said that none of the injuries seemed to be life-threatening. And that both officers were reportedly conscious and alert. Alright, so I'm assuming by now they reopened the intersection, because it's 5 o'clock at night. But I figured I might as well talk about this because the media might not bring it up. So maybe if there's an update next week from the Courier, I might read it. But I just wanted to make you aware of this situation that developed earlier this afternoon. Okay, let's move on to our next story. Let's go to Ozone Park. So unfortunately, we had a fire inside a house in Ozone Park back on Sunday. The issue was 6 firefighters and 4 civilians were injured. The fire was reported at 78-17 101st Avenue around 11:25 a.m. on Sunday, January 5th, where a fire broke out in a 3-story building. The 4-alarm fire brought the response 39 units or about 170 firefighters and EMS personnel. According to the FDNY, the fire was under control a little bit before 2:30 p.m. The fire affected 6 other buildings beyond the home it started in, according to the FDNY, and in all 10 people were injured as a result of the blaze were transported to Jamaica Hospital. At this time, the cause of the fire is unknown. What? Zoom. I will not read the quote from State Senator Joseph Abato, but here's a picture of it. And Pix 11 on Sunday reported that the fire spread to 3 other houses originally, but according to the Courier, 6 other buildings were affected by this. Wow. So originally it was 3, and then it became 6 buildings. Interesting. And unfortunately, here's a picture of the fire, which is just sad. Now we're going to get to a homicide, and I have to unfortunately report this. 92-year-old woman was murdered in Richmond Hill. So what happened here, you may be wondering. So, the sad story was, a 92-year-old woman was found dead in the middle of the street in Richmond Hill early Monday morning, and police are searching for a man to question. According to police, a man approached Maria Freitas outside of 103-26 127th Street assaulted her and knocked her to the ground around midnight back on Monday, January 6th. Officers found Fuertes, who lived just down the road, unconscious and unresponsive. EMS rushed to the Jamaica hospital where she was pronounced dead. Fuertes had sustained trauma to her neck and to her back, cops said. Whether or not she was strangled was completely under investigation. So again, this is going to be investigated as a homicide according to the NYPD. No arrests have been made so far. So they have a person who they want to talk to. We have a video. So as the video is playing, I'll read this part. The man wanted for questioning in the video you see in the vicinity of 101st Avenue and 130th Street. He is described as an average build, black hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a black jacket, dark colored pants, and black shoes. Crime Stoppers. 1-800-577-TIPS 8477 for Spanish. 888-577-74782. Pista. Public can also submit their tips by logging on to Crime Stoppers' website or on Twitter at NYPDTips. Now, scary strap hanger. And I saw this headline earlier this week. I'm like, what? But we're going to read the story anyway. Train conductor punched by scary strap hanger on Woodside subway station. Police are looking for an individual who punched and spit on a train conductor in Woodside last month. At around 10:30 a.m. on Saturday, December 21st, an unidentified person assaulted a 39-year-old female train conductor as she looked through an open train car window on a stationary 7 train at the 69th Street station, according to the NYPD. After delivering the blow, the individual ran off in an unknown direction. The train conductor was removed from her post and taken to Lenox Hill Health Plus Hospital, where she reported swelling and pain to her face. Andy Byford, president of New York City Transit, said, "The attack was appalling, unprovoked, and unacceptable. The conductor was simply doing her job, where she was punched and spat on without warning." What kind of person does that? And I completely agree. So again, here is picture. Now, this is a story that Andy Q made me well aware of in Jamaica. Andy from NYC. Cops released video of suspect stealing a purse from an unattended wheelchair in a Jamaica clothing store. Cops are looking for a crook who was caught on camera stealing a woman's purse from her wheelchair at a Jamaica clothing store. According to police, at 1:50 p.m. on December 31st, a 32-year-old woman was entering a fitting room at Burlington, located at 160-08 Jamaica Avenue, and try on clothes. While she was in the dressing room, an unknown woman walked up to her wheelchair where she was sitting unattended outside the dressing room and stole the victim's pocketbook. The suspect then fled the scene with the pocketbook, which contains the victim's cell phone, credit card, and keys, in an unknown direction. On January 3rd, the NYPD released video of the suspect at the store committing the aforementioned crime. Okay, here we go. Ooh boy. I could definitely tell that's in the store surveillance camera. Oh goodness. Let's see that again, because I'm just disturbed. Yep, there you go. Caught red-handed. That is just terrible. How is she stealing from a disabled woman? Speaking of disabled and elderly, we got another story regarding them. Cops seek duo who robbed an 89-year-old woman in Astoria. Police are searching for 2 women who allegedly robbed an 89-year-old woman while inside an elevator in Astoria on Wednesday, January 8th. According to police, the duo entered a residential building around 31st Drive and 21st Street around 5:30 p.m. and walked into the elevator with the elderly victim. The pair proceeded to grab the victim's purse and fled onto the 6th floor and then to parts unknown. The alleged thieves made off with $200 cash, 5 checks, and a Metro card, enough for a grand larceny charge. The suspects are both described as being the ages of 18 and 26 years old. One was last seen wearing a black bubble jacket and red and white sneakers and is approximately 5 feet 3 inches tall. The other is about 5 feet 7 inches tall and was last seen wearing a blue jacket, gray sweatshirt, and blue sneakers. Alright, here we go. We have a video of the suspects, it looks like. So let's see. And these are stupid kids. That's all I'm going to say. They were caught on camera. My goodness. Man, a lot of these criminals lately, they don't realize they're on camera lately. I mean, how dumb are they? My goodness. Alright, let's talk about a scrap. Now, this scrap happened outside of a Mass Effect McDonald's that left 2 people stabbed. Detectives want to talk to a man believed to be connected to a supersized scrap outside of a McDonald's restaurant in Mass Effect last month that left 2 men stabbed and 4 others injured. Cops say the fracas ensued at 3:10 a.m. back on Saturday, December 28th, outside the fast food joint located at 59-60 55th Row. According to law enforcement sources, a large group of individuals got into a beef that led into violence. During the free-for-all, 2 men were stabbed, a 27-year-old man was cut in the leg, and a 25-year-old man was knifed in the shoulder. Paramedics both brought individuals to the hospital in stable condition. 4 other individuals involved in the episode suffered minor injuries, police said, including one who had been struck in the unknown vehicle. On January 3rd, the NYPD released a photo of a person of interest sought for questioning in the connection of the rumble. Yep, there you go. Definitely could tell somebody's doing a swing. That's what I'm afraid of, like, getting into a scrap with someone. You know? I really hope that never happens to me. Jamaican man charged for slashing his girlfriend in the face and arm in a local hospital. Oh boy. A Jamaican man was arrested this week for allegedly slapping his girlfriend while she was watching over his sick baby in the hospital, prosecutors announced back on Friday, January 3rd. Alexander Fitzpatrick was arraigned before the Queen's Criminal Court and charged of first-degree assault, third-degree criminal possession of a weapon, and endangering the welfare of a child. He was reprimanded to custody in order to return on January 10th. So tomorrow he has to go back. Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz said, the victim in this case fell asleep while watching over his sick baby in the hospital. She was awakened by her boyfriend, who allegedly stood over with a sharp instrument and said slashed her in both arms and faces, recording 120 stitches. I said faces, plural. I meant to say face. According to charges, the 25-year-old victim was in a room with a 6-month-old daughter who was admitted to Jamaica Hospital as a patient on January 5th. She was sitting in a chair and fell asleep, but shortly after 1 a.m., she allegedly awoke to see Fitzpatrick, who was the child's father, standing over her with a sharp object. Fitzpatrick then allegedly summed up his substance, "I'm going to jail," and began slashing the victim with the sharp object. If convicted, Fitzpatrick faced up 25 years in prison. The victim sustained a deep wound to her left arm and face, which extending from her ear to her nose, and required a total of approximately 120 stitches to close all the wounds. Knife-wielding attacker slashes gas station employee in Woodside. Okay, here we go. Police are searching for the man who slashed an employee of a Woodhaven gas station in the face with a knife after an altercation early Tuesday morning. The suspect approached the Shell gas station at the intersection of Atlantic Avenue and Woodhaven Boulevard around 2:15 a.m. on January 7th inside of a blue Audi, police said. The unidentified 67-year-old gas station employee approached the suspect and the two began to argue. The suspect then reached for a knife and then slashed the face of the gas station employee. After injuring the man, the suspect then reached into the victim's pocket and stole $60 before speeding off, according to authorities. Police could not confirm why the employee approached the man or what the altercation was about. The suspect is described as a Hispanic male last seen wearing gray shorts and a gray hooded sweatshirt. The investigation into the attack is ongoing. So I just want to make sure how many more crime stories we got, because I was in a hurry to get all of this organized. There we go. That's better. Springfield Gardens, we have a drive-by shooting that left one man injured. The NYPD is looking for two individuals involved in a drive-by shooting earlier this month. Around 11:30 p.m. on January 2nd, the pair sitting inside a red four-door sedan fired several shots at a 25-year-old man as he walked down the sidewalk in front of 133-28 Springfield Boulevard. The duo sped off westbound Merrick Boulevard with the victim shot once in his right thigh was taken to Jamaica Hospital by private means. Police reported there were 3 people inside the sedan, although only two fired shots. A motive could not be confirmed by the NYPD. The investigation into the assault is ongoing. What happened to Murray Hill on Northern Boulevard? Employees of Murray Hill AT&T grabbed teen attempting to rob store. Another suspect remains at large. Police arrested a 17-year-old boy after he was grabbed by AT&T store employees who was attempting to stop the teen from stealing cell phones from a Murray Hill store on Sunday. The teen accomplice entered the tech shop at 150-19 Northern Boulevard around 6:30 p.m. on January 5th, according to authorities. The pair began to grab merchandise from the store when they spotted by store employees. Officers responded to the robbery around 6:45 p.m., only to find store employees holding one of the suspects and waiting for the cops. The other suspect escaped on foot, according to authorities. Interesting! Citizens arrest! That's actually a positive ending. I can't believe I'm saying that. Police charged the teen with 2 counts of robbery, assault, and criminal possession of a controlled substance. Right, because he's a minor, he's 17, identity is being withheld. The unknown male accomplice is still being manhunted by the police at this time. The police could not provide a description of the suspect. Alright, so there you go. And lastly, before we get to transit news and infrastructure news, cops are looking for the thief who snatched a purse inside a Forest Hill subway station. Oh boy. Let's get into this incident. At 4:20 a.m. on Friday, December 20th, the alleged thief approached a 24-year-old woman as she exited the Forest Hill 75th Avenue subway station on the E and F line. He quickly and forcibly grabbed the woman's purse and ran off. The purse contained jewelry and credit cards and an estimated value of $5,000! Oh boy. That's chump change in today's figures, but that's still a lot of money. A police investigation later found that the man attempted to use the stolen credit card to purchase merchandise from a Manhattan video game store in Union Square around 10:30 the same day. The suspect was caught on camera while browsing the store. The suspect, believed to be between the ages of 25 and 35, was last seen wearing a dark cap, an orange and black coat, and the dark pants. See what I mean? I swear these criminals have gotten so dumber. It's ridiculous. It really is. I am now recording a separate part of this video because I had to eat dinner and then my editing software was having issues. But I'm back recording. Just making sure. Yeah, we're good. When that little thing on OBS comes up, that's a good sign. But on a serious note, I just got this developing story that just came in. Channel 7 reported this earlier tonight, but Channel 4 is also reporting on this. We have word that a Chinese restaurant in Long Island City was on fire today. It's called Cyan Famous Foods. So let's read more about it. A 3-alarm fire gutted the Long Island City branch of Siam Famous Foods. The Chinese restaurant started in a Flushing basement and quickly became one of the city's favorite chains. The FDNY said 140 firefighters battled the blaze earlier this afternoon. Pictures treated by the department showed severe damage to the roof and side of the building. The FDNY sequentially tweeted around 4:20 that one person suffered 9 life-threatening injuries. The address of the restaurant is 26-19 Jackson Avenue. Yes. At 4:20 p.m., FDNY had confirmed that the fire was deemed under control. Currently, here's what we got. More information regarding this chain. The chain, which started in 2005, has 16 locations around the city, mostly in Manhattan. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Siam Famous Foods tweeted this out earlier today. Please be advised, due to a fire at our Long Island City location, FDNY is currently containing the fire and will remain closed until further notice. Everyone is safe, and thank you for your understanding. 26-19 Jackson Avenue. I think I know where that is, because that's not anywhere in the 40s. No, that's a different part of Long Island City. But let's just get back to our regular agenda. So, we're going to talk about chaos on the subways once again. And specifically, we're going to talk about the 7. Now, what happened on the 7, you may be wondering. So, here's Sally Librera, the senior vice president for subways at NYCT. She had a press conference at the Hudson Yards train station. So, not only the system malfunction was resolved, but also the system work was just as planned. A signal transponder was misplaced during weekend work between 42nd Street Grand Central. All trains on the line began running further apart to prevent a collision. Yes, isolated cause of human error, said Sally Librera. In order to do the work, we removed the transponder. When we returned it to the incorrect location. Our signals weren't able to correctly identify the placement of the train, as they appropriately slowed down the trains and spaced them farther out so we could operate safely. Our signaling system worked exactly how it's supposed to work. The misplaced transponder was found 100 feet from where it should have been installed, and was further into the East River Tunnel where it were unexpected. The MTA is now conducting a full investigation to determine how the human error occurred. So, again, this is, I'm not going to get into any more CBTC issues. And then, Librera also said that this issue had nothing to do with the switch problem on the E, F, M, and R lines on Monday morning. So, chaos. Just utter chaos. Yeah, I'm not going to get into congestion pricing. That's a whole nother argument. But at least Sally Librera was up front with us. I gotta give the woman credit. And I hope she's going to be up front with us on the 21st at 2 Broadway. That's when NYCT's having its committee meeting. And I'm also going to advise Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to talk about this. This is just unacceptable. Especially how Lisa Daglian's been trying to advocate for the 7 line lately. Very quickly before we get to the Queens bus redesign, let's just check the Weekender. Because I'm just going to not make assumptions here regarding, hopefully this not happening again on Monday. Because imagine if it does. Ooh, boy. Yep, this is the last weekend of track maintenance. Yep. Why aren't I surprised? Let's see, is the queue running to Ditmars by any chance? Okay, it looks like the queue is not running to Ditmars. Let's see. Okay, good. So we still got N train service to Ditmars this weekend. I was checking the weekender for the heck of it. Ooh boy. They're doing a project along the Queens Boulevard line. Why aren't I surprised about this? Let's see. Yep. More chaos. I don't even want to get into more of this agita. So I'm not even going to get into the Yep. E and F trains are skipping stations because of electrical improvements. Oh boy. And again, the big one's going to be the 7. No service between Queens and Manhattan. Really hope this is the last weekend of this nonsense. For a while. So I'm getting sick and tired of hearing that, oh, there's no 7 between Queens and Manhattan. You know, that's not good for people. Okay, let's talk about Jackson Heights. Now, how is the Queens bus redesign going to impact their neighborhood? Okay, so Assemblyman Mike Dendecker has scheduled a feedback meeting with the MTA to give residents an opportunity to discuss the draft plan with MTA representatives, including a planner who drew up the redesign. Now, also mentioned here in Fresh Meadows, I got a phone call from Assemblywoman Lily Rosick's office. And I can confirm that Assemblywoman Rosick is looking into the bus redesign as well. So trust me. Again, this has to be reevaluated. And you know I'm going to be talking about Fresh Meadows specifically with Larry Shorts on January 21st. Because that's a guarantee. And then I'll see what happens with Peacock on the 29th. Not 20. I think it's the 29th. Hang on. What's Peacock meaning? I'll find out. I'll look it up. Just trying to get the date. Because if it's Wednesday, I can't go. I'll find out. Yeah. Here we go. Peacock's meeting this date. Oh, Long Island Railroad had a meeting today. Interesting. But like I said, I don't really get involved in commuter rail. I'm more worried about NYCT. Okay, let's go back. Dendecker has serious concerns about cutting any bus service in Jackson Heights and would prefer to see the MTA add more buses to existing bus lines to alleviate overcrowding. He felt a meeting was necessary after his district office was inundated with constituents expressing similar concerns with the draft plan. Yep, and he brought up the Q66. Thank God he did that. That would be awful. And I know the 66 is at risk. That route between Queens Plaza and Flushing Main Street. Can't get rid of that route. Q32 goes around Roosevelt. Can't get rid of that. Now here's some specifics. Q48 serves many people who live at the naturally occurring retirement community at Northbridge Southbridge Brew Line. Eliminating the 49 will also cut access to the 74th Street, Jackson Heights, Roosevelt Avenue subway station. Yeah, exactly. The major transit hub with fully functioning elevators. See? Yeah. Well, what's the point? You know? Ridiculous. But again, this doesn't work out with my schedule. Well, I might as well just tell Larry how I feel. Because Larry knows I come once a month. Yes, exactly. So people do want to get involved. That's good. So I'm glad people in Jackson Heights are realizing how bad this is. Especially Mike Dendecker. He realizes the 66 is going to get impacted. Alright, you can't have that route cut off. Alright? Well, if the 7's down, And people need to get to Queens Plaza from Flushing. The Q66 is their livelihood. You can't just do that. You can't. And then you got people who want to use the Q66 to get around Northern Boulevard and Woodside and Long Island City. You can't just do that. Alright, BQE project. I don't even want to get into the streetcar thing. But pretty much it just says de Blasio's moving forward with the Brooklyn Queens tram. So again, this is just all talk. It's just all talk. They're not doing it. Come on. Look how long this article is. I'm going to quickly mention that they talked about that. Let's talk about Andrew Mark Cuomo. What did he do? Video shows Mr. New Yorkers Love Me assisting in collision rescue on the BQE in Woodside. Alright, so Mr. New Yorkers Love Me jumped into action on Monday when an overturned car on the BQE in Woodside left an injured man trapped inside. At around 1:15 on January 6th, the King of New York was leaving an event for the Association for a Better New York in Manhattan. Wow, that's a complete joke. And while this was happening, I was in Elmhurst. This happened on Monday. Oh boy. Look at this. He was traveling down the BQE near Queens Boulevard. A car looked like it was about to tip over on the median bear. A spokesman from the governor's office said the police had not arrived yet when the governor's car pulled over. Yep, video taken at the scene by one of the governor's staff members shows the king standing on the barrier assisting first responders in pulling the man out of the cab in the truck. Oh boy. You know, I'm going to keep calling him names because he keeps cutting back mental health funding. He didn't even talk about that in State of the State. I'll openly say that right now. You know, Mark Malinero was the governor, openly in saying that mental health would be a big priority in the state. I mean, this is just publicity. This is just publicity. I'm sorry to say that. Look at this. Ay, ay, ay. Can't make this stuff up. I'm sorry to rant, but I don't find anything positive about this. Alright? My ex-girlfriend even texted me this. You think I find anything positive about this story? No. Lord help us. We gotta get this man out of office in 2 years. We really do. And I'm glad Mark Malinero gave a rebuttal. Alright. Now let's talk about a politician that doesn't have an agenda. That's right. We're going to talk about somebody who I admire from Long Island City. Jimmy Van Bremer, who is running for borough president. He talked about the situation with the Court Square Library with the leaky roof. So there he is. Let's get into it. Councilman Jimmy Van Bremer, who is currently running for Queens Borough President, led a rally to demand the Queens Public Library act with urgency to find the Court Square Library a new home on January 8th, as the library's last month at 25-01 Jackson Avenue quickly approaches. The councilman said, "This Queens Library knew the deadline was looming. The library should have already been diligently finding a new space for this public library, but it doesn't appear that they've done so. This is not a question of funding. The library received record funding from the City of New York just this past June from the de Blasio administration. It never requested additional funding to cover any expected rental increase." Now, this is something that Helen Marshall would have done when she was borough president. Helen Marshall knew something was going on. She would exactly be in Jimmy Van Bremer's shoes right now. Alright? Just openly saying that. Okay, location at One Court Square will end in March with the public service ending in February. The Queens Public Library is committed to staying in the neighborhood they serve for 30 years. The library leased this space from Citigroup for $1 a month. How is that a joke? $1 a month? But Savannah purchased the building in 2014 and now seeking market renter for space. Councilman Van Reemer said, I believe they dragged their feet and now we're in a crisis where this community faces the loss of library services. That's absolutely outrageous and absolutely unacceptable. And I mean it, folks. If he becomes borough president, he's going to do a fantastic job. And I mean it. Interesting, Mr. Dennis Walcott. Now, who is Dennis Walcott, you may be wondering? Well, Dennis Walcott was the last New York City school chancellor under the Mike Bloomberg administration. Yep, I know who he is. He's currently the CEO of Queens Public Library. Mr. Walcott said that he and his team have worked for more than a year to find a new place for the Court Square Library after Savannah made it clear that they didn't want to work with them. Now, here's what Mr. Walcott said. The mischaracterization of our efforts is unfortunate. We are fully committed to having a library in a growing neighborhood, which, again, I've been to Court Square. I go to the deli near Thompson Street and Jackson Avenue, so I know what it's like in that area. Can't lose the library. But the rest of the quote said, they have served that area for 30 years and continue to identify affordable and appropriate space. At the same time, the reality is that we have a fiduciary responsibility to manage short and long-term implications of securing a new home in an area with skyrocketing rents. Here we go. The public library announced that this branch will close on Saturday, February 15th at 5 p.m. Mobile library service will be provided on Mondays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. starting on Monday, February 24th in front of the courthouse at Jackson Avenue and Court Square West. Oh boy. Exactly. Again, you can't lose a library branch. That's the bottom line, especially in an area like Court Square. You just can't. So again, Jimmy Van Reemer, keep up the good work. And especially how I'll mention, I called the office regarding the bus redesign. And if he becomes borough president, he's going to make it a top priority. Alright? So this borough is going to be in good hands with Jimmy Van Reemer. Because he does not like de Blasio. That we already figured out. Yeah, good. I can understand. He feels like we're being double-crossed by de Blasio's antics. By the way, I'm not really going to get into this article. Not much. Here we go. Exactly. Look at all the other candidates. Do you think any of them have a chance? Maybe Cosmetitis, but who are these people? Jimmy Van Reemer has name recognition. You know? Elizabeth Crowley, maybe. Maybe Elizabeth Crowley. I don't know. You know, I just don't get it. But, by the way, I want to confirm to everybody that we do have a date for, the election. I'll just get into that very quickly. Because I know we had an update last week on Friday. And, just want to make sure of that for a second. Here we go. Got it right here. So that's what I want to get into. So they have confirmed, the mayor confirmed this. De Blasio announced that the special election for Queensborough president will be held on Tuesday, March 24th. Right. He had to officially wait until Wednesday for Melinda Katz to vacate the current office. Okay, now as far as interim, who's the current interim borough president? Because that's the main thing. Let's see. Right, and again, I'm assuming it's going to be Jimmy Van Bremer. Right, so I'm assuming the three are going to be Jimmy Van Bremer, Costa Constantidis, and Elizabeth Crowley. I think those are the three. But Van Bremer's going to be the one really favored, I think. Oh, again, I know Humani Williams is a mouthpiece for the bozo. But trust me, Jimmy Van Bremer is a better choice than Melinda Katz. Just saying. Melinda Katz wants to make me throw up. Let's see. I'm just trying to see right now. So who's the interim borough president? That's kind of concerning. Republican map maker enters Queensborough president race. Oh, look at this. They're having a borough president form in Manhattan. Queensborough president. They have a website? Because I'm just curious what happens when you Google it. Well, might as well. Something should be coming up, but I guess not. Let's see. Can we get it to load? That does not help me. Seriously, I don't know what's going on with this computer. It's just ridiculous. Can we close out some tabs? That might fix it. See, we're going to close these tabs out. Here we go. So let's see. Who's the borough president right now? Because that's a cause of concern. You know, you can't just not have a borough president. Ay. Alright, we'll put the next article up in the meanwhile. Yeah. So we'll get to the storm train in a second, but I'm curious. Who's the borough president right now? I'll see if I can pull it up on my phone. So now I'll even go on LTE. That's how desperate I'm. Yeah, here we go. Ex-prosecutor launches. I think we got 2 Republicans right now. Queen's candidates to return real estate cash. I don't know. I'm pulling it up on my phone. That's what it says. Let me go on my LTE. Maybe that might help it. But anyhow, while my phone's playing 21 questions, let's get into this article regarding Humani Williams and Constantidis. They want to make sure that the storm trains are ready for storms. There's legislation aimed at improving the maintenance of storm trains around New York City. Oh, okay. If the bill, if passed, would update and expand upon requirements for the DEP to respond to and resolve any 311 complaints involving catch basins. So again, we got to make sure that our storm trains are maintained, because we get rain, it's not good. Okay. I don't see about. I have to think. I think for 2 months we don't have a borough president. That's very alarming. Let's see. I don't see anything else. Yep, nothing else. That's alarming. Okay, in Woodhaven, we have Nearest Tavern to close its doors this Sunday, January 12th, due to the cost of rising rent. That's not good. This has served the Woodhaven community for almost 200 years. Right. This tavern is located at 87-48 78th Street. It's going to be no longer open in business due to cause of rising rent. Yep. In the event a miracle happens, which is just sad. I don't even want to get into the economics, but just make sure before Sunday you visit Nears if you can, because that's just sad. And then we got sports betting. Joseph Abadado wants to look into getting more sports betting legislation. Oh boy. I don't want to get into that. Okay. So I think to wrap up the update for this week, we're going to talk about a new commanding officer joining the 111 precinct. This is huge. His name is John Portodson. Can't pronounce the name. Okay. Back on Sunday, the precinct announced that Deputy Inspector John Hall will be stepping down from his post after nearly 2 years as its commanding officer. Okay, so Captain John Poltartrin, he has previously served the 104, 109, and 110 precinct. So, that is interesting. They've had a lot of changes in 111. So his last job was at 109 precinct. Okay, that's the one that's in College Point. Yeah, 111 technically does cover some portions of Fresh Meadows. But where I am in Fresh Meadows, I'm covered by 107. But reason why I care about 111 is because they serve Bayside. My old area of Auburndale. See that right here. Alright. So, that's going to wrap up the Queen's News Update for this week. Not a lot of crime, but has to be discussed. So let's see what's in store next week. Maybe there's some lighter stuff we can get into. I'm hoping that it will be the case next week. So, thank you all very much for watching, and until the next one, please take care.